Recording is
Which is
on.
We're going to learn. We're going to get it.
interruptions. Oh yeah, we're gonna get it, and hopefully you guys will stick around until we do get it.
It won't take long, but I mean, it's a process.
Yeah, this is just our third time. Have mercy.
Carried that anger with her
All
into
right.
the classroom that day. What happened next stunned an entire nation. Once inside the empty room, Natsumi attacked Satami with a box cutter she had hidden in her belongings. By the time other
Ooh.
students discovered what had happened,
Hard as fuck,
the
eh?
scene was grim, beyond imagination. Teachers rushed in and called emergency services, but Satami's wounds were fatal. News of the killing spread instantly through the school, the neighborhood, and then the country. It wasn't just that a child had taken another child's life. It was the age of the attacker, only 11 years old, that horrified people. In Japan, where violent crime among children is exceptionally rare, the story became front-page news nationwide. The police detained Natsumi immediately, but what followed was even stranger. As television cameras surrounded the school, reporters captured a photo of Natsumi being led away. She was wearing a University of Nevada sweatshirt with the word Nevada printed boldly across the front. On the internet, particularly in Japanese forums like 2channel, that one image became an obsession. Memes, fan art, and even songs were made about Nevada tan. The tan suffix.
You see, and this is where kids can't decipher reality from fiction, right? Like a lot of these shows, that the Japanimation and stuff, that's like, some of it's really bad for kids to watch, but hey,
Is
we
it?
don't think about it because it's a cartoon, right?
Right. Yeah.
So,
I've done a lot of clothing. I'm looking at this art behind, and I've done a lot of clothing for people with those kind of characters on them.
yeah,
But
the
I didn't
Japanimation.
I knew it was something like Japan something, but I've never watched any of it, so I have no idea. I just thought it was like, I don't know what I thought, but so some of it is
So when we were
bad?
kids, we had
Yeah.
Japanimation, and it was like Astro Boy and Sailor Moon,
I remember that,
and
Sailor
like Hello
Moon, yeah.
Kitty and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
Whereas now it's like, it looks like it's safe and harmless. Like I mean, Dragon Ball Z is harmless, but I mean,
Right.
there, if you get really deep into some of these cartoons, they're actually quite vile. Like a lot of graphic sex scenes, and like a lot, oh yeah, violence and stuff like that.
Really?
Oh yeah. So I
Oh.
mean, don't, you got to be aware of what your kids are watching, and this is a big
Yeah.
thing right now.
A term of endearment. But here, it carried a chilling irony. This strange internet culture fueled the story's global spread. Suddenly, the case wasn't just a tragedy in Sasebo. It became one of the first viral examples of a true crime story being twisted into online folklore. In a way, the internet immortalized Natsumi, far beyond what any courtroom could have done. The Japanese justice system faced a difficult challenge. At 11 years old, Natsumi was below the standard age of criminal responsibility in many countries, but Japan had lowered its juvenile threshold after another high-profile case in the 1990s. That meant Natsumi could be held legally accountable. She was placed in a reformatory rather than a traditional prison, with the goal of rehabilitation rather than punishment. Officials never released her face publicly again, and her identity was tightly guarded after the initial media frenzy. The case triggered intense debate in Japan. Could someone so young truly understand the consequences of such an act? Was Natsumi a
Yes.
child in need of help?
Absolutely, they're at that age,
Fucking
right?
right. I have
So,
an 11-year-old granddaughter right now, and she knows every fucking thing that she does,
right?
period. You know that's wrong. You know that she can't sit there and do something like that and say, "Well, I didn't know better." Motherfucker, you did know better.
So it's stuff like this. I mean, look at Gypsy Rose Blanchard. She's another
Right.
one that got away
Yeah.
with murder, and let's just be
Yeah.
for real. She got away with
Oh,
murder.
yeah.
Bottom
Yeah.
line, none
Well,
of
she
us
really
would
get
have.
away with it. She did
She
some
really
time.
did, though, because they were
Yeah.
after the death penalty with her, right? So I mean,
Right.
she fucking lost. Well, for me, she lost out on a lot of, justice, because that's what should have happened to her.
Yeah.
None of
Yeah.
this,
Well, yeah, Yeah, I've watched some stuff actually. You kind of got me into watching some of that stuff, and plus I've watched a couple of the actual shows. Like I think it was on Netflix, and I
I
think there
wouldn't
was
trust.
another one on. But no,
It's
but
all
just because I was
scripted stuff.
interested in it,
Yeah.
right? And everybody was watching them when she came out, right? So
Honestly, you
I
know
knew a
what got
little bit
me
about
into
it.
it was
What
you, because when
really?
she first got out, you added her to Facebook or something and you posted, "Great congratulations, girl." And then I looked her up, and you know what? I was kind of on the fence because, yeah, you know what? She might have BPD, but you know what? Something just wasn't sitting right with me, right? But then the
Right?
more deeper you dove into her, is like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, this girl fucking, she set everything up, and you know what? Congratulations for yeah, getting
Oh,
away with it pretty
yeah,
much, right?
congrats,
Like,
man.
if it was me or you, there's no
Not
fucking
all of
way
us get
any
to beat the
court would
system
let
like
us
that.
fucking go, right? Not even a hope in hell of even seeing the light of day. But you know what? For her to orchestrate something that large, let's just
Yeah.
be for real. She got
And how much time did she
she got
do?
eight
It
and a half.
wasn't
She
that long.
got 10 years. She did 8.5, and she had a year and a half of parole.
So she
So
did less time than my friend just did for drugs.
this is the problem with this now, right?
Congratulations.
The
Yeah,
charges that the justice system is putting out now aren't compatible with the charges that people are doing, right? Like, it's just
right.
not. Somebody that's going to go out and shoplift is going to get a year and a half compared to somebody that outruns a police officer, causes fucking 4 accidents, and kills somebody,
Yeah,
right? At the
yeah,
end of the day. So, I
yeah.
mean, the justice system is so fucked up.
They barely lock people up. Or I don't know where it is anywhere else, but I know in our town, like
It's a catch and release
nobody.
program now
Oh,
because
it's
because the
ridiculous.
jails are so full and overwhelmed of petty crime,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
They'd rather
But
worry about that stuff rather than, fixing the fucking actual big
yeah,
problems.
yeah. My opinion on that is that I really think that not enough people that are running this town know anything about the criminal world or the drug world or whatever, because they come from a different kind of life. Well, you don't know how to fix something that you really don't know anything about.
No.
You're like, oh, let's get them help here and here and here. You're giving them help in all the wrong ways, you idiots. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? Give them more services to what? Abuse the system even more. Like you're part of the problem. You're
There's going to be
not
less
fixing
services
it.
out there soon anyhow because of the fact that now Canada is shutting safe injection sites. That's the stupidest thing that you could possibly do. You're going to have more open use now. You're going to have more overdoses, and you're going to need more people to help people now. And there's just not the
Yeah.
help out there right now because you're closing the services that are out there to help people.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, harm
But
reduction and safe supply and all that, I'm on the fence with because I was an addict as well. And I don't
yeah,
believe
same.
enabling somebody is helping the situation because it
Yeah.
doesn't in the end of the day.
Yeah. Well, I don't think anybody can hit rock bottom unless you let them. I really believe that. And I think that there's so many services out there for addiction that are being used by people that, let's be honest, it's either court appointed or like you're not
Misuse of
going to
the
quit.
services.
100%. When I was an addict and you were an addict, I'm sure you took advantage of the system. You know why you could? Because it was fucking easy.
You know
I
what?
took
I really
advantage of it in
didn't.
every way I could. You didn't?
No, because
Wow. Well, you're
I was so ashamed to at that time admit that's exactly what I was. Like, there was no fucking way,
oh,
right?
I had no problem admitting that.
See, I did. There
But
was
we
just
take
no way.
advantage of what we can take advantage of, right? And maybe it was a lot easier here than it was because you were in BC at
Yeah.
that time, correct? Yeah. So I don't know if it's easier here or whatever, but I think the amount of resources that they give people that don't deserve it
Right?
is pretty astronomical.
All my healthy shopping
Fucking
online.
commercials.
Look, they deliver natural beauty products, health supplements, organic and natural snacks,
Back onto the
straight to my
show,
door. They also
crazy
have a huge
teens.
online selection, all curated by expert consultants, and they have
But
amazing
first,
prices. Visit
Healthy Planet.
healthyplanetphoto.com. Your one-stop
Shout out to Healthy Planet,
Hashtag Healthy Planet.
right?
Of help, or was she an early example of pure malice? Parents worried about internet culture, violent media, and bullying. Schools doubled down on safety protocols, and lawmakers were pressured to reconsider the treatment of juvenile offenders. The Nevada Tan meme refused to die. Even years later, online communities would share the iconic sweatshirt image, debating whether Natsumi was a misunderstood kid or a symbol of something darker. For Satomi's family, however, there was nothing ironic or meme-worthy about what happened. They lost a daughter at only 12 years old, in a way no parent should ever have to imagine. In the years since, Natsumi's fate has been shrouded in secrecy. Japanese law prevents the release of her adult identity, and reports about her life after the reformatory are vague at best. Some say she reintegrated quietly into society, under a new name. Others believe she still carries the weight of what she did as a child. Whatever the truth, the public will likely never know. The story of Natsumi Tsuji stands as a chilling reminder that violence doesn't always come from hardened criminals or adults consumed by rage. Sometimes
For sure.
it comes from the least expected places. An ordinary
Just
classroom,
speaking of Sailor
an
Moon,
ordinary city, carried out by someone who was supposed to be too young to even think of such an act. The world may never know who Natsumi Tsuji is today, but everyone remembers Nevada Tan, the child who shocked a nation and then became one of the most infamous symbols of evil youth in modern history.
Now imagine doing a crime so bad that they turn you into a cartoon. And then getting out and being able to watch these cartoons about yourself and
right?
seeing the stuff that you did. I mean, how do you really get over that? And can you get over that? Because I really don't think you can. I mean, it's
Yeah.
always there. And I mean, you have to think about it. I mean, even though she's not registered to that name anymore, I mean, something's got to come up on her Google every once in a while. That's got to be a slap in the face.
Right. Right. Yeah. Wow. That's quite the story. I've never seen this one before.
The record, yeah, she's my girl. What's her name? Isabella.
Is he insane?
I think I remember this one.
Alive because I have some
She
random
kept saying, "My name's not Isabella."
In August of 2013, a shocking crime in Aurora, Colorado, grabbed headlines across the United States and later became an internet phenomenon years after the trial ended. At the center of it all was Isabella Guzman, a teenager who appeared to have it all: youth, beauty, and a seemingly ordinary suburban life. But behind closed doors, her family life was marked by tension, arguments, and escalating hostility. Isabella was 18 years old, living with her mother, Yoon-mi Hoi, and her stepfather. Friends and classmates described her as sometimes shy, sometimes defiant. Teachers said she struggled with authority. At home, arguments between Isabella and her mother had grown more frequent. According to her stepfather, the fights often centered on discipline, household expectations, and Isabella's growing independence. On the night of August 28th, 2013, those arguments reached their breaking point. Yoon-mi had been worried about her daughter's behavior, and had even asked Isabella's biological father to speak with her in an attempt to calm things down. He later said he left the home feeling unsettled,
Her eyes, eh?
but never imagining what would come next. That evening, while Yoon-mi was showering, Isabella entered the bathroom armed with a kitchen knife. What happened next was an eruption of violence that stunned investigators. By the
Yeah, at
time
least
her
it was in the
stepfather
bathtub,
forced the
right? I mean,
bathroom
that's a
door open,
bonus.
Yoon-mi had been fatally attacked.
It's a sick way to look at it.
So
Hello.
You gotta look for the sunshine underneath the clouds, right?
Police quickly arrested Isabella near the family house. In court, prosecutors described the deliberate act of matricide, but the defense painted a very different picture. From the moment of her arrest, Isabella displayed erratic behavior. In her mugshot, she looked upward with an unsettling half smile, and during court appearances, she would sometimes stare blankly, smile inappropriately,
We should
or appear
pull up
to
some mugshots of people smiling in them.
It became clear that Isabella was suffering from severe mental illness. doctors diagnosed her with schizophrenia,
And how old is
stage
she?
marked by hallucinations,
Would they say
delusions,
16,
and a
17?
break from reality. In court, experts testified that Isabella believed her mother was evil, even inhuman, and that she had to protect herself from her. The jury ultimately found Isabella not guilty by reason of insanity. Instead of prison, she was committed indefinitely to the Colorado Mental Health Institute at Pueblo. Under Colorado law, she would remain there until doctors determined she no longer posed a threat to herself or others. For many observers, this outcome stirred mixed reactions. On one hand, it was clear that Isabella was deeply unwell, and the law recognized her mental state. On the other, the sheer violence of the attack made it difficult for the public to accept that she would not serve a traditional prison sentence. What sets Isabella's case apart, however, is what happened years later. In 2020, clips of her courtroom appearances resurfaced online. TikTok and YouTube users shared short videos of Isabella staring into cameras, smiling eerily, or standing in court with a cold, detached expression. For a new generation of viewers, the clips were disturbing, fascinating, and instantly viral. The internet latched onto her as both a true crime figure and a meme. Some treated her with morbid fascination, others with misplaced
I
sympathy,
remember this
and many with
documentary.
outrage that such a horrific crime could become an online trend. It was another
Oh,
example
she's sweet but
of
a
how modern
psycho, a
internet
little
culture
bit
can
psycho.
transform a tragedy into a
Banger.
often overshadowing the human cost behind the headlines. For Yoon Mi Hoi's family, the internet memes were salt in a wound that had never healed. Yet online, strangers debated Isabella's appearance,
Well, you know
shared
what
her
your
photos,
destiny
and even
is, so I
edited
mean, you might as
videos of
well
her into
smile.
fan
You're
compilations.
got nothing
Over
to
the years,
left,
Isabella
right?
has continued to audition
Right.
for release from a state hospital,
Yeah, you're
claiming that
fucked
treatment has
anyway.
stabilized her and that she is no longer a
Nothing you can
danger.
do is going to make
In
it any
interviews
worse
with
than that.
doctors,
No,
she has
not at
described
that
her
point.
transformation, insisting that medication and therapy changed her life. But for the public, the question remains: should someone who carried out such a brutal act ever be allowed to walk free? For many, the image of Isabella's unsettling courtroom stare is what they'll remember. But behind that viral clip is a family destroyed, a mother gone forever, and a community still left to wonder how such darkness could erupt inside an ordinary home.
It makes you wonder how many people out there in the public now are under different names that have done things like this. Now, I do know of one that he is out. He's out on parole. Now, I think he's got a lifetime parole. Not too sure about it.
Mhm.
But it's it's interesting, right? Like, I mean, like, how many other ones are out there that are under different names that are trying to lead normal lives, but
Right.
could have the tendency to commit again? Because these are, reoffendable actions, and
Yeah.
something that doesn't just go away after the first time. I mean, a lot of the people, enjoy it afterwards. And I mean, look at
Becomes an
Dahmer and
addiction.
Bundy and
Yeah.
stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
So, I
Becomes an
mean, something
addiction.
that they love.
Mhm.
I don't know.
Yeah. And you know what? And some parents are complaining, "Oh, my kid's out there, throwing rocks at the windows," and like, buddy, sit down. Those are
Right?
normal kid things. Look at this fucking psycho.
And that's all and that is, it's true. It's stuff that, a lot of kids do. Like my brother did that. In fact, I think it was a
Yeah.
week before school started in the summertime that he threw a rock through the principal's window.
I can just say that I was a fucking little piece of shit.
Oh, I definitely was, and I'll be the first to admit it. I was
Yeah.
not a child that you would wanna raise at
Yeah, for
all.
sure.
Like, and I
Yeah.
mean, as much as I hate my mother, I still gotta give her props for, doing the best that she could with what she had at the time, and, it is
Yeah.
what it is, but I mean, definitely could have made more of an effort.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember being, quite the little shit when I was a
Disturber.
kid. And a lot of my childhood, I've blocked out a lot of my childhood, but um, Yeah, some of the things I remember just for stupid things like smoking at when I, 9 years old, starting to smoke pot at 10 years old, and breaking into like old buildings and
Yeah.
just normal kid. Well, I can't say the drugs are normal kid shit, but like I mean, if you have
They
a
got
kid
to
where both your
experiment at
parents
some
are
point, and
working,
whether they're 10 years old or they're 21 years old,
you
I
gotta
mean,
explore, man.
the expect I don't know, the
You
expectations are
can't
there.
learn from life unless you test your boundaries.
No, and you definitely have no right to tell people how to live their lives, right?
I
I
think everything that I went through when I was a kid made me, where I am today. I think I'm a pretty decent human. You know what I mean? I'm still a bit of a piece of shit, and I have,
tendencies,
sometimes a really shitty attitude, but I also have a really good side to me.
right?
And, I don't hate who I am as a person.
You
So,
just accept it and move on.
hey, man, it is what it is. I have no regrets. I have no
Well,
regrets
let's watch the
at
next
all.
one.
Missing her head. But she fell back. Look at her head. Was your throat cut? Yeah. Oh. You complete. Very well. Oh my
In October 2009, a small town in central Missouri became the stage for one of the most shocking juvenile murder cases in modern American history. The crime wasn't just brutal, it was calculated, premeditated, and carried out by a teenager who seemed to live a double life. At the center of it all was 15-year-old Alyssa Bustamante, a girl whose journals would later reveal a disturbing obsession with death.
Seen
Alyssa
those
lived in St.
pictures
Martin's,
before.
Missouri, a quiet community where most people knew each other. She was being raised primarily by her grandparents after her mother's struggles with addiction made parenting impossible. To the outside world, she looked like a typical teenager. She attended high school, spent time online, and hung out with friends. But beneath the surface, Alyssa's life was unraveling. As a child, she had battled depression and engaged in self-harm. She had once been hospitalized for a suicide attempt, and those close to her knew she was deeply troubled. Still, many thought she was working through her issues, managing school and social life in her own way. What no one realized was that Alyssa was already planning something unspeakable. On October 21st, 2009, Alyssa lured her 9-year-old neighbor, Elizabeth Alton, into the woods. Elizabeth lived only a few doors down and trusted Alyssa. For Elizabeth's family,
Come on,
it was a
Alyssa.
totally ordinary afternoon. She had gone to play at a friend's house and was expected
They
home
look so
soon.
innocent. Look at
But
him.
when she didn't show up, her family
Psycho
knew
bitch.
instantly that something was wrong. Elizabeth was the kind of child who followed rules, who never wandered off. That night,
I'm
heavens
just saying
spread
there's
across
some
the
red
valley.
flags there in those in
Neighbors
between
searched
those years
How
there.
cute she looks.
Police organized ground teams and helicopters scanned the area. For days, hope and dread fought against each other. Elizabeth's mother clutched onto the idea that her daughter would be found alive, but the truth was already buried in the woods. Investigators soon focused on Alyssa. Her demeanor during questioning was strangely calm, even cold. Eventually, she cracked and led police to a shallow grave she had dug days earlier. Inside was Elizabeth. Alyssa admitted that she had strangled and stabbed the girl before covering the body. What horrified investigators even more was what they discovered in Alyssa's diary. On the very day of the murder, she had written about the killing in chillingly casual terms. After describing the act, she ended the entry with the single word, amazing. The misspelled enthusiasm read like a teenager's text message, but it described the deliberate ending of a child's life. That single page from her notebook became one of the most infamous pieces of
What an
evidence in
asshole.
American juvenile crime. The town of St. Martin's was shattered. Neighbors who once waved at Alyssa's grandparents from across the yard now recoiled in shock. Elizabeth's family faced the unbearable grief of losing their little girl in such a calculated way. Meanwhile, Alyssa's relatives struggled to comprehend how the girl they had
Sit
raised
down, girl.
could do something so monstrous. Prosecutors wasted no time charging Alyssa as an adult. The crime was too brutal, too intentional. At trial, the defense argued that Alyssa was deeply mentally ill, pointing to her history of depression, medication, and suicide attempts. They described her as a broken child, crying out for help. The prosecution counted with her diary entry, the shallow graves she had dug in advance, and her own words to police. This wasn't a random outburst, they said. It was cold, methodical murder. In 2012, Alyssa accepted a
Yeah,
plea.
she
She pled
she
guilty
thought
to
that shit out.
second-degree murder and armed criminal action. The sentence: life in prison with a possibility of parole, plus 30 years. It meant she would one day have a chance at release, but it also recognized
Should be about 60 years old.
Yeah. At that time,
At
just
that
fucking
point,
put me
just
in a
keep me
box and
in
let me go to
because, I
sleep.
mean, can you imagine how much the world would change in
Yeah.
the 60 years that you're almost incarcerated? Like,
Mhm. I've seen some stories too where people have done like so many years and then they get released and they just don't know how to deal with life.
oh, I was
That
just
movie,
watching.
Sling Blade, do you remember that one with
Hmm.
Billy Bob
Yep.
Thornton? He had been in a mental institution his entire life
Yep.
for killing his mom and her lover. And then that, to be honest, is probably in like my top 3
I was gonna say it's up
movies
there. Yeah,
ever.
Max
If
has
you
to
guys
watch it
haven't
once a year at
seen,
least.
yeah, if you have not seen that movie, I really suggest you do. And it's wild, even though you after you know that's Billy Bob Thornton, it's really hard to like
It's
pick
probably
him
one of
out
his
of
best
there.
performances to
100%.
like.
Like, it's you can't even really tell it's him.
No.
You're like and then after you're told it's him, you're like, "Wow, really?" Like, it's so
Mhm.
well done, and the
Okay.
acting it is yeah, mhm, like, the way
Right?
he talks. The first 3 minutes of that movie hook you.
Yeah.
The first 3 minutes, it just hooks you and you can't get out of it. Like,
Yeah.
it's one of the most phenomenal stories I have ever seen, and I actually had a pit bull that I named Carl. Years just when that movie came out
Yeah.
is when I got this pit bull, and I named him Carl because it was like my pit bull was so soft and gentle, and he was just, one of those flumpy,
Yeah.
just a dumb looking asshole of a dog with an excellent personality, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just like Carl in the movie, he was so passive and you would never think that he could ever hurt somebody. But then somebody fuck with his family and he'll take your shit off with a sling blade.
Right?
You know what I mean?
the seriousness of what she had done. The case didn't end there. In the following years, the US Supreme Court ruled that mandatory life sentences for juveniles were unconstitutional, sparking a wave of appeals across the country. Alyssa's lawyers tried to use this ruling to reduce her sentence. They argued that her age and mental health should give her another chance. But Missouri courts upheld her punishment, pointing out the extraordinary cruelty of her actions. The Alyssa Bustamante case continues to hold true crime discussions because it raises questions no one wants to ask. How does a 15-year-old develop the desire to kill? Could intervention have changed her path? Or was it inevitable? Was Alyssa a victim of her own mind?
That's
A
wild.
predator
Like, wow.
behind
A
her
red
age?
flag for sure.
In prison,
Yeah. Yeah.
Alyssa is said to have adjusted to life behind bars. Reports suggest she has taken classes and kept to herself, but the shadow of her crime will always follow her. Every parole hearing in the future will likely draw media attention, ensuring that the name Alyssa Bustamante is never forgotten.
But should she be allowed back out? I mean, Canada years ago Pierre Trudeau took away the insane asylums and the mental hospitals, and I don't think they realized the cause and effect of that. Now,
Yeah.
all these people that were institutionalized for since birth, don't know
Yep.
how to function in society, right?
Yeah.
And even those that are severely misdiagnosed and not even diagnosed of these things, they can't
Yeah.
function in society, but yet there's nowheres for them to go.
Yeah. And you know what? Like I have a brother. His name was Johnny. Now he was in a place in Kingston. It's called Ongawanga Hospital. And he was there from the day he was born until the day he passed away, which was like 19 years. He never ever got out of there. I believe, like I was just a kid, but like I was younger than him. So I believe that it was from x-rays that were my mom got x-rays. Like this is back in like,
Radiology.
way back when in like the early 60s, right? Um or even yeah, I guess it would have been the early 60s cuz I was born in 69 and I think he was like 5 years older than me. So, back then but I believe he was born with water in the brain, like his head was really large. He had one eye.
Had to wear a helmet all
um
the time.
he had to wear a helmet
Yeah.
all the time. There was no roof in his mouth. Now,
Deviated septum.
is that what it's
Yeah.
called? Okay. And like at Ongo Hospital, I remember, now I'm hoping this just wasn't a story that my mom told me, but um, that I wasn't allowed there. You needed to be 16 to be able to get into this hospital to visit because there was like it was an actual insane
Yeah.
asylum, like, and it was uh I don't know if they called it that, but like I've been in there a couple of times and I will never forget the things I seen in there.
Yeah.
It was traumatizing. Now I understand as an adult, if there was a rule you needed to be 16, I fucking get it.
Yeah.
You know what I
Well,
mean?
it's
Like I
just
fucking get it.
traumatizing to start with, and then you add a child into the mix, right? How do
Yes.
you, discuss and, you know, explain things that are going on there? Because I mean, a lot of the time you don't know what other people have, and there's so many different, um, you know, mental diseases and stuff like that out there that
Yeah.
people don't know how to react to that stuff, and
Yeah.
it can cause people to be
I'll
scared.
never forget it. Like
Yeah.
I was only able to go in there a couple of times ever. And I don't know if she snuck me in. I don't know the whole situation around me going, but I had only seen him couple of times in my
Mhm.
life. I remember my mom picking him up. So his body was like the size of I think the one that stands out clearly to me the most, I think I was about 10, maybe, I'm gonna guess, when I went and seen him. And so that would have made him like 15 or
Mhm.
something like that. But he was tinier than me. Like he was tiny, tiny, tiny. And his head just being so big,
Yeah.
you know? And I remember my mom holding him, and my mom was a big woman, right? And the size of his head next to my mom's head. I'll never forget that. And I remember the smell of the place. For
Mhm.
some reason, that's the one thing that really sticks out the most is the smell and the sign language.
Yeah.
Like he kept asking for a cookie, and I'll never forget that. But I can see why they have
They're
why they
important
but
places to have. It wasn't like, I
But
mean, I
where's
can
he gonna
see.
go if they close that down? What was supposed to happen to him? The people that weren't
Exactly.
100% dependent on people, where did they like, what happened to all of those people?
Couldn't
Hmm.
tell you.
Well, I
So
know Johnny passed away before that.
my grandmother was a psychiatric nurse and
Yeah.
worked in, I think it was Riverview in New Westminster there, and it was back then.
Riverview.
Yeah, so back
I
then
remember
it
that
was
place.
like the electric shock therapy, and it was
Yeah.
like the hardcore stuff. And I mean, the place has been shut down now for what, 30, 40 years now.
Yeah.
And it's used in the movies all the time, and it's definitely a scary place to go because I mean, if those walls could talk, right?
Ah, can you imagine?
I mean, I'm sure the stories that would
Holy.
come out of there would be wild, but yeah, my grandma was
Yeah.
there for a few years, and just some of the things that she would tell me were just, it was crazy. Like,
Mhm.
and I think you've
Yeah.
got to have a really thick skin to work in places like that. But
Oh my god, you'd have to.
it wasn't like, I mean, nowadays you look at it, yeah, a lot of things could be triggered as abuse and probably inhumane at times, right?
Right.
But the fact of the matter is we still needed facilities like that, whether, they went with the times and upgraded and did what they had to do, revamped procedures and policies. But the problem is we needed places like that for these people to go to, because there is nowhere
Mhm.
for them to go to now. We're
Right.
looking at PSW workers and home care workers now, and we're so limited to even those nowadays. It's getting impossible to find anybody to help, and families
Yeah,
don't look after families anymore the way that they used to, right? And
that's true.
that's the problem.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. That's absolutely true. Families don't support one another. But families, I mean, when you watch shows like fucking Leave It to Beaver and shit like that, and you look back and you think people really did live like that. Like that was real.
Yeah,
I mean, it was a made up show, but the way they talked, dressed, respected their parents, went through all
traditional.
those,
Yeah.
very, very true. That's how it was, right?
So I
In
can
those
honestly
times.
say that my grandparents on my mother's side were like that. The Joan Cleaver,
Right.
Warren Cleaver thing.
Right.
And it was a great feeling. I loved going there. It
Right.
was it wasn't stressful. There was no tension. Like, and if they did fight, we never knew about it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
There was no tension in the house, right? Whereas a lot of
Yeah.
homes, I know growing up, even as a child, and my dad was away a lot of the time, so it was just a single parent household, right?
Yeah.
But even in that single parent household, when dad came home, there was a lot of tension in the house, right? So I mean,
Yeah.
kids do pick up on that, and it
They're
does
not
affect
stupid.
them,
Oh, 100%.
right? So I mean,
100%.
as a parent,
What's
we have to
around
be
you.
more cautious and courteous
That's
of
right.
what we're doing around our children.
That's right. Like my kids when they were little, like I mean my youngest is over 30. So when my kids were little, they didn't really see any arguing. I mean, I can't say that. I think I mean they've seen the odd thing, you know what I mean? As like fighting with your mate.
Hmm.
Never anything whatever. But now as a grandparent, and I'm raising grandkids, you learn from your mistakes, you learn from
Hmm.
what's right and what's wrong. They have never seen Cody and I, plus we don't argue really, but they've never seen us argue.
Oh, well, you
And
can tell that.
yeah,
They're
you can
happy
tell that.
kids.
Yeah. And one of my granddaughters, Delilah, happy birthday by the way. When you know how Cody and I play around, like I'm like he was just being a smart ass, like, go get out of this room before I whip something at you or something. You know how we
Yeah.
talk to each other, just kidding around. And I think I threw a brush at him or something. And I didn't even realize, because the kids that live here are used to Cody and I playing like that. But little Delilah, she's never seen that before.
Yeah.
And she was like, Grandma, you be nice to Grandpa. You don't throw the brush at Grandpa. And I'm like, oh my God. I started crying. I was so upset. I'm like, honey, we were just playing. We were literally just playing. But as for fighting, none
But it's
of
that
my
easy,
grandchildren have
Kids
ever seen
can't
that.
decipher what the fights are about, let alone anything else,
Yeah.
right?
For some reason, some ways, kids always think it was something that they did.
All the time.
Like this is that my parents got a divorce because it was my fault,
Hmm.
or my daddy moved out because it was my fault, and so they always think it was something that they did.
Yeah,
And that's really sad, because that's a lot to put on a kid. you
absolutely.
know that's a lot for a little
I'll
kid to
be
go
building models
through.
all night.
No,
Commercial
I'm using
time.
Saspire to build
Who
models
are
for
we
Pizza
thanking
Fest.
now?
We're done.
So you don't want
Right.
those 15 pizzas? Nobody said that.
Oh,
The pizzas stay.
pizza.
This is their home now. From data
Maybe
to
I'll
ta-da.
make pizza tonight.
Saspire.
What you
Sasvaya.
doing, Ozzy?
Last Turbo was
This
gonna
is
be
my
Oh,
Friday.
Ozzy.
Herbo.
The hot tub was
And for
great.
those
But
of
then
you looking to
Turbo
come to
Jerry posted
Newfoundland,
Sunday
you
night
can
that they
check
moved us
me
to a
out
place they're
on
calling
Airbnb for Sea Captain's Cabin.
Teenagers are cool as a surprise.
Got a
Yes.
wonderful little place, little cottage on the ocean.
Yeah. And it's a cute little place too.
The city of Newcastle upon Tyne in northern England was rocked by a series of crimes that seemed almost impossible to believe. The culprit was not a hardened criminal or a violent gang. It was a schoolgirl, just 10 years old at the time, named
She
Mary
looks
Bell.
really
Mary's early
high.
life
Yeah, her
troubled
pupils are
very
on.
She was born into poverty, raised in a home filled with instability and neglect. Her mother was absent for long stretches, and her father figure was frequently in and out of trouble with the law. Teachers would later recall that Mary often acted out in class, showing both defiance and unusual cruelty for a child so young.
Any attention is
Some
attention.
classmates said she had a temper, while others
True.
remembered her as simply strange. On May 25th, 1968, the day before her 11th birthday, Mary lured a 4-year-old boy named Martin Brown into an abandoned house. Hours later,
Oh.
his body was discovered by local children exploring the building. At
Jesus.
first, police were
Oh.
baffled. There were no obvious signs of struggle and no clear explanation for the boy's
How could a
death.
4-year-old struggle?
Investigators initially considered it a
Oh.
tragic accident, but Mary didn't stop there. In the days after Martin's death, she returned to the neighborhood and began acting in ways that unsettled the community. She would ask other children if they wanted to see a dead boy, and spoke about Martin's death with eerie detachment. A few weeks later, she struck again. On July 31st, 1968,
So she's serial.
Mary, along with her 13-year-old friend Norma Bell, no relation, lured another young boy, 3-year-old Brian Howe,
Are
to a
you
nearby
fucking
How are they
kidding me?
getting
What
these
happened
kids
there
under
was
5?
far more brutal than the first case. The child was found lifeless, with markings on his body that indicated intentional harm. Investigators quickly realized this was
Back
not
then, you used to be able to let your kids that little play outside, though.
Well, I
The
don't even
crime
know as a
sparked
parent
panic
if
in the
I'd let them
community.
that young go out.
I
Parents
never
found
have.
No,
Not that young.
fearful
not
that a
that
predator
young.
was on the loose. When police began interviewing neighborhood kids, Mary's name kept surfacing. Her unusual behavior after both deaths raised suspicions. Teachers recalled her drawing disturbing pictures, and neighbors mentioned her fascination with the crime scenes. Eventually, Mary confessed, but her attitude was shocking. She spoke about the acts with little remorse, as if she didn't fully grasp the gravity of what she had done. At just 11 years old, she was charged with 2 counts of manslaughter. The trial that followed drew enormous media attention.
Oh my
The
God, those
idea of
poor
a child
babies.
committing such violent crimes was nearly unthinkable at the time. Psychiatrists who examined Mary described her as intelligent but manipulative, with signs of psychopathic tendencies. They concluded she understood right from wrong.
Do you know that only
but lacked
2% of the
empathy most
population
children
is
naturally
actually
develop.
considered
In December
narcissistic and a
1968,
psychopath?
Mary was found guilty of
Really?
manslaughter on
Mm-hmm.
the grounds of diminished responsibility.
I'm sure there's a
She
lot
was
more
sentenced to be
diagnosed than
detained
that.
at Her Majesty's pleasure,
You would think, but
meaning for a
They
no.
throw
brief period
diagnosis out
until
too
authorities
easy, though.
deemed her no longer a threat. Mary spent the next 12 years in various institutions. She was released in 1980 at the age of 23, given a new identity, and granted anonymity to protect her from public backlash. Years later, this protection was controversially extended to cover her daughter, allowing the family to live in secret. But the
I wonder if her
public never
husband knew.
forgot. Mary Bell became a household name in Britain, symbolizing both the shocking potential for violence in children and the uneasy debate about rehabilitation. Should someone who killed 2 young children ever be given the chance to live a normal life? Was she a
Could they live a normal life? I don't think
or
so.
was she inherently dangerous from the start?
That's a fucking nut
So,
bar.
Mary represents the ultimate cautionary tale of what can happen when a child grows up surrounded by
Bye,
neglect
Mary.
and instability. For others, her story is proof that evil can emerge at any age, regardless of background. People wonder whether she truly changed after her release, or if the darkness inside her never really disappeared. We may never know the full truth, because Mary Bell continues to live under protection, hidden in plain sight, somewhere in the United Kingdom.
So that's the same as in Canada. Oh, son of a bitch. Anyhow, same as in Canada. They protect them because look at Karla Homolka and,
Yeah.
you know, like people like that.
Adam
she was
Strong.
part of the school system for her kids until, the school got rid of her because they found out who she was. She's under different name and everything else like that, right? So, I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know.
The entire system protects fucked up people.
Absolutely.
You know, they really do. They protect fucked up motherfuckers. Fact. You know, now you can say, now you can say, uh, I identify as a female now, so put
I
me in a
I
female
I
prison.
I follow a few trans people on TikTok. Now, one of them is Jeffree Star, and the reason why I follow Jeffree Star is
I think I
because
might too,
I
actually.
believe that he's a wonderful human being. He does do lots of, charitable things, but
Mhm.
he's also very real on the whole situation.
Yeah.
There's a whole lot of controversy right now on him calling parents of trans kids weirdos. Now, I do think that that's gone a little too far. However, he's not wrong. He's not
Mhm.
wrong because, I mean, I think a lot of the generation that's raising these children now tend to forget what it's like to have like tomboys and, like
Yeah, man.
phases.
I was
And
a harsh tomboy.
and that's what this a lot of it is these kids going.
These days, I'd
I
be
mean,
called
I'm
a
probably gonna get a lot of
transvestite or
backlash
whatever.
now because of my
Yeah,
profession and shit like that,
fucking
but, I mean, this is called real talk, so let's be for fucking real right now.
yeah,
You're supporting a child who's doing things like a boy wearing girls' clothes and this and that. Now, I'm gonna put it out there, my son was 2 years old, he used to wear my heels. Did I think that he was trans? No. Did we, have fun with it? Of course, he's a child.
yeah,
But it doesn't he's not a trans. He's going through a
because he liked to
phase. He
wear your
likes to play
shoes.
things. I
Yeah,
mean, anybody ever remember what it's like to have an actual imagination?
yeah,
To make up games in your head, to make up, like when I was a kid, I used to make my brother and sister do plays and stuff.
yeah.
I mean,
I remember my kids doing little plays and little
exactly.
concerts
So,
and
I
stuff. Yeah,
mean,
absolutely.
that's part of growing up. That's about using your imagination. And that's where a lot of kids nowadays don't know how to use their imagination
Right,
because it's being redirected into something that is not what it is. Right?
right.
They,
Yeah,
they don't they don't feel like they can, you know, have fun the way that they want to because fear of getting, mocked at or, stigmatized and stuff like that. And where the encouragement from parents really needs to come is just encourage them to have fun. Encourage
yeah,
them to
man.
use that imagination.
Yeah,
Encourage them to be kids because that's a lot of what we don't do nowadays. We expect our children because, a lot of them come from dual working households and stuff. We're encouraging our kids to grow up too fast.
yeah,
And that's a lot of it has to do with not only the parents but the government and the way that the world is just running now, which is shitty.
yeah.
And unfortunately,
Very.
some parents got to take up 2, 3 jobs, which leaves no time for these children, which isn't on them. It's really not
Mm,
because they're trying to provide a lifestyle and a life, even with its just basic needs for their children.
right.
And I just feel like a lot of people are taking things nowadays too far and in a way that it doesn't need to be.
Yeah,
I mean, that's
yeah.
just my thoughts and opinions.
A
That's
lot
not
of
my
fucking
professional
Karens in the
opinion,
world.
but I mean, like, I'm not gonna lie about something because, I mean, a lot of these people that are trans, it is a mental health issue, and we can't ignore it anymore because now it's starting to affect other people in ways that's causing trauma and PTSD and things like that. But to go back to following the ones on TikTok, you've got to be really careful. There's another one. His name is he's a life coach too. He's a competitive weightlifter, but he admits he likes to look like a woman. So he's gone as far as having the surgeries. He's had facial reconstructive surgery, and he's starting to look like a very attractive woman at this point, right?
And is he happy with his
But he's happy
decisions?
with himself, and he's got a
Right.
daughter, and his daughter's very supportive of him. And she said, "Dad, just be yourself."
Yeah.
Right? So,
Yeah.
I mean, and even when I was growing up, I had 2 roommates that were men that liked to steal my clothes, and I didn't know what was going on at that time, but
Yeah.
I mean, it was cross-dressing back then.
Yeah.
Guys were trans, there was none of that.
Transvestites is what we used to
Gay
call them.
it was gay, lesbian, and bisexual, LGB. That's what it was back then.
And now there's all
And if
kinds of
you really
letters in the
wanna
fucking
think
alphabet.
about it, there's another question going around in the social media community that, what's the big deal about men not wanting to date trans women? Well, and to be honest with you, if a man was to date a trans woman, would that not make them gay?
I would
I
think,
mean,
yeah.
so where are all these other letters coming from? Keep it simple.
Good fucking question.
Right? Like, they don't need to be there. You're either gay, lesbian, or bisexual.
Yeah. Yeah. They start adding all these other fucking
It
things in there.
confuses people, it
Yeah.
frustrates people, and it
Yeah.
confuses the younger generation.
How can it confuse you when you got somebody on all fours walking down the street meowing like a cat? Are you kidding? Get the fucking spray bottle. Oops.
There was an
That wasn't
Airbnb
spray
host, and I'm
bottle.
not even gonna say her name. She's in Nova Scotia, and, she was telling me about one time she actually had a family ask if they had a litter box, and she's like, "Well, you can't have cats here." And they're like, "Well, it's not for a cat." And she's thinking, what the fuck do they need a litter box for, right? Well, it turns out that their youngest child identified as a furry.
Like fuck. Like fuck. Can you imagine your kid coming to you and I can look, I have gay kids. I don't give a fuck what they do with their parts like that, but hold the fuck on. If my kid came to me and said, I think I'm a cat, first of all, get out. Second of all, you're gonna eat mice.
Again,
And
this is just a phase for children.
it is, but it's because people go along with it. They'll be like, "Oh,
Exactly.
they," and
Supporting the wrong
encourage it
things.
and through it, and like, are you fucking kidding? But first of all, if your kid comes to you and tells you that, first of all, the cat, give me your clothes, because cats don't need clothes. They don't need an education. They don't need to sit at the goddamn dinner table because they get shooed down,
Mhm.
right? And you don't get steak anymore. You get goddamn cat food. And I don't have an indoor cat, motherfucker. Your litter box is outside. Goodbye. Fuck you.
I don't
Fuck
change shit
you.
that way.
Fuck you. No fucking way.
But
And the school systems are putting litter boxes in the bathrooms. And you're telling us who's the problem here? Who's the fucking problem? Parents are just, I don't know what it is, but nobody, oh, it's okay to be like that. No, motherfucker, it's not. It isn't. It's okay to be
there's
gay, bi,
boundaries.
whatever the fuck you want. But first of all, don't think you're going to go through life without people losing their shit on you. Why are they losing their shit on you? Because you're on all fours with fucking ears, you idiot. What are you talking about? With clothes on, driving a car. You just drove your car to the fucking grocery store where you're going to walk around doing your grocery shopping with ears, expecting other people to bow to you because you're a fucking cat. Fuck you. Fuck you, cat.
So I think when it comes down to adults doing it, I believe that it is a form of grooming. I do. Why would you want to do that? And, like, that's something that children do. The children would,
Pretend.
right? And it just comes off very creepy to me. So when I was in school, they asked us, is there anything that, there's no way that you'd be able to support and, work with and stuff. So,
Okay.
and I'm a pretty open person. I can, business is business, personal is personal, your life is your life, and it doesn't affect me, so I don't give a shit, right?
Right. Right.
But bottom line is, I will not talk to pedophiles.
Ha,
You know what?
right?
You might as well call the police, because I'm sure a grave is going to have to be dug at that point. And I can't deal with a lot of the alphabet group.
Yeah.
Depending on the situation, there's a lot that I will stay away from, because I don't believe in it, and I can't support somebody who's doing things that I don't even know how to put this now.
Dudes are saying they get their period, okay?
It's,
I'm getting my what are you
stuff
talking
like
about?
that. Exactly. Like
What are you
stuff that
talking about?
is just so far out into left field, right? Like, so
Right?
far, it's gone, right? And
Yeah.
there's no way for them to even look at the situation and think differently on how it affects people, how it affects themselves. I mean, because at the end of the day, it does affect them, right? Whether
Yeah.
you're mentally stable or not, your whole day affects your mental health.
Yeah.
And if your mental health's not good, the whole rest of the
Yeah,
day
your
is
day's
gonna go
fucked
like
up.
fucking shit, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
your day's fucked up. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that's being like it's allowed. Like they're actually making like laws for this stuff and making arrangements to make them more comfortable and this and that. Like I just feel like I just like parades and shit like that. Like
I do
I
feel
feel
that
like
those have
people wouldn't
gone.
hate it as much as if it wasn't pushed on us
Yes.
to accept it. You know what I mean? If it wasn't pushed on us to accept it, like we have to accept this, or it's a criminal, we're hate. What is it
Hate
called?
crime.
What's the hate criming? What the fuck off? Fuck
So the little
off.
town in Alberta that I just moved from, Westlock, I love that town because they've stood their ground.
Yeah.
They're a bunch of rednecks, to be straight. So I mean, there's none of that bullshit go on.
Yeah.
They did
Love that.
burnouts on the rainbow sidewalks and crosswalks and stuff like that. So I mean, there was tire things, and then they did make it that they were going to do it as a hate crime. But at the
Right.
end of the day, they did a town meeting, and the town just doesn't want that stuff. Like, if I do not give a shit, call me a conspiracy theorist all you want. The map flag of the blue, white, pink is
Yeah.
males transitioning to females and females transitioning to males. That's what that means.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
I can't remember what the other flags were.
Because it goes blue, white, pink, or so.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
So
Okay.
I
The
mean,
baby
like,
colors.
bottom line, you're a boy.
Yeah.
You're biologically a boy. Your
Yeah.
chromosomes tell you you're a boy. You're a boy. And as
Yeah.
we learned, everybody says that there's two sexes, but what Ange learned while I was there is that there are three sexes. And many people don't know that. And I think, what was it, 2% of the population of that has intersex. And that's when you're born with XXY chromosomes.
Yeah.
So these people,
Unless you're like that, you don't get it.
actually have both
Right.
parties.
Right. Yeah.
Like, it's a party in her pants and only she's invited.
Yeah. She's all she needs.
Right?
Yeah.
I can buy myself flowers and I can give myself whatever. Right?
That's right.
But they've got actually both sexes. So they've got the penis and they also have the vagina, which
Right.
does work for penetration as well.
Right.
So, I mean, to most people, yes, this is weird, but it's becoming more frequent that this is happening nowadays. And is it
What, that
talked
people
about?
are being born like
Absolutely
that?
not. Yeah. So I don't know what it is nowadays, but it's more frequent nowadays that these people are born with the triple chromosome disorder
Yeah.
than what happened in the past. I mean, as
Or do
is
you
with
think it was just
everything.
wasn't talked about back then? Maybe it's just seems like there's more
I
now
think a lot of
because
it was that it just wasn't talked about because
yeah,
I mean, back in the day, you would have been considered like a freak or,
yeah,
like a,
yeah,
you'd be
yeah,
part of the adult friggin' circus, right?
yeah. Like way back in like the 50s and stuff like that. If a girl was raped, now I'm only saying this because this happened to a family member of mine, raped in a train station. I think she was 14 when this happened, and so she ended up pregnant out of this rape. Well, her parents hid her the whole pregnancy. They hid her because they didn't want because she was giving the baby up for adoption, which she did. But they hid her so people wouldn't think she was a fallen woman
Mm.
because back then it was just so
Shun on.
yes, that a young teenager is pregnant and having a baby, blah 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 blah. So it was it was looked down upon and
Mhm.
stuff that so times have changed so much. Look at it now. It's abnormal that a girl gets to 25 without having a couple kids. you know but
Nowadays,
back
yeah.
then they would wait until they were later in their 30s when they got their house and everything straight, and then they start their family. It wasn't abnormal for like a 13-year-old boy to go to school and his mom looked older because
Mhm.
she used her fucking head. you know Now when you see girls with they look like brother and sister,
A
but
lot of the times,
they're
yeah.
actually girls. I'm not one to talk. I had my first kid at 15. I'm 55 and she is like 37. I think she was born in 1986. So oh my god, she's older than
40.
that.
She's
Oh
40.
my god.
She's 40 now. I was gonna
once you
wondering when you were
have
gonna pick that up.
once you have 5 kids and 13 grandkids, I lose track. I don't fucking know how old I am half the time. And sometimes like when I hear they're like my youngest daughter, she told me her age a little while ago and I was like, "You're what?" And she told me again and she's like, "I'm sure you don't know how old I am." I'm like, "There's no fucking way you're that old." And I just start counting on my fingers like such a good mom. But yeah, like, it's all about the grandkids
Well,
after
we still talk
that.
about 20 years ago when I'm thinking the 80s. Well, no, 20 years ago was like
It's 2000.
2000.
What? Yeah. It's hard to think about like, oh my God, that was 50 years ago when we used to go to the beach and hang out. Like, me and my best friend Sue, it was like we were 7, 8, 9, 10 years old, going to the beach, going to all these by ourselves. We were all over the goddamn place, right? Running away from home and just absolute difference. Now I'm such a protective grandma. I was a pretty protective mom in that way, like letting your kids go out by themselves and stuff, but I sure gave them a hell of a lot more leeway with my own kids than I do with my grandkids.
Yeah.
Like I have a 15-year-old upstairs that's never even had a sleepover. You know what I mean? But
It's just things you got to do nowadays in order to keep them safe because
yeah,
things
yeah,
aren't the same way that they were 40 years ago, right? Like
yeah, yeah.
there's
But
nothing
he's
that's going to take us back to how it was 40 years ago.
no,
But then the same
no.
things were still happening then, but
It's just what you didn't hear
you
about
didn't
them.
hear about it exactly.
Yes, yes. The world is just as sick now as it was then. I can imagine it's a bit sicker because of the internet,
Yeah.
but there was a lot of fucked up people back then. They just kept it to themselves. Now it's okay to come out and say, "Hey, I'm a fucking I have a bat ears and a fucking cat tail and just call me LaQuisha." Like
But yet we're
like
gonna, we're gonna hide
you
the
can be
Canadian sex
anything.
registry because we don't need people doing vigilantism,
No, no, you don't want that. You don't want that.
right? I
And
mean,
I've been charged with assault on a pedophile as well. And I can just say that
I have 4
when
assault charges on mine, and 2 of them are grievous bodily harm.
do
So,
you
I
feel bad?
mean, not for
No.
those ones, I definitely
Not a
don't.
fucking chance. Not a fucking chance,
No?
And speaking of the Alaskan Avenger, the real Alaskan Avenger, I reached out to him and asked him if he would, do a radio show with us because we also have a radio show that we do, and he was interested in that. So, but so I sent him an email a little while ago because saying that I had been injured and I'm going to be in bed for a little
The
while.
email process is lengthy.
Yeah. Well, I was, on the bed rest and stuff like that for a while. So I said, after I get better, back on my feet, I'd really like to have you on, like, and tell your story, about it, what he went through and all that. I just think of the world of what he did,
Robin Hood.
he assaulted pedophiles with hammers, went and did his time, got out early a little bit, and now he's doing like podcasts and
Let's
all,
just
like,
put it out there. He did not kill anyone,
no, he didn't kill
but he
anybody.
definitely made them feel the pain that they caused.
Yes, yes, yes. And when I started seeing his stuff, I was like, I really would like to sit with this guy and hear his actual fucking, you know what I mean? Because you can learn
Oh.
on Facebook, but it's not like having a conversation.
Our login is about to expire, so we will say good
Peace.
night.
Happy birthday, Delilah.
And listen at 8 o'clock.